Hey, what's going on, guys? Jason Osborne, JO Vision here, and today we are talking portraits, more specifically editing. I'm going to edit a portrait of mine that I shot from raw to finished. So, without further ado, let's get right to it. First thing I like to do is I just like to really look at the overall picture before I even do anything, change any settings on it or anything like that. I really like to just look at the overall picture, see what colors are present. We've got some blues, we got a little bit of brown, some green, some reds. Overall, the tones of this picture is pretty cool. There's really cool tones, not too warm of a picture. It was a cloudy day that day. It was raining a little bit, so you're obviously going to get some more bluish tones in the picture than you would yellow or orange because the sun wasn't out. Next thing I like to do is I do like to pixel peep a little bit. I like to zoom all the way in and see if I actually nailed the shot, and it's pretty sharp all the way zoomed in, so that's good. I shot this with a 50mm 1.8 lens. I believe I was at 2.8 as far as the aperture goes, and ISO 200, I think 1/80 as far as the shutter speed goes. And that's a little slow for a 50mm on a crop sensor camera. It should be about 125, but it was fast enough obviously to prevent any camera shake, and the picture still remained pretty sharp zoomed in, so I'm happy about that. First thing I like to do, especially if I know I'm going to post this picture to Instagram, is I just go ahead and just crop it to the Instagram dimensions right away, and that is the 4x5 8x10. You'll get the most real estate on the page when you crop it right there. It allows me to get the close-up portrait style that I want, and I know that I have the most amount of space given to me. So once I have that, I also like to check to see if it's crooked or not. This looks a tad crooked. That's where it says it's level, so we'll leave it right there. Once I have all that taken care of, I just start going ahead and getting the light right on the photo. I really don't go for the exposure and contrast first. What I like to do is actually like to bring all the highlights down in the photo right here, and then I go to the white section. I hit the Alt key and I bring the Alt all the way up until I start to see some whites peeking a little bit. Not that much, just like that. And then I go to the blacks and I do the same thing, hold the Alt key, and I like to see a little bit more darkers, especially since we have a white and black contrast. Bring those blacks down just a little bit, just like that. All right. Once we have that, I play around with the shadow sliders, depending on how much detail I actually want in the darker colors. If I want it to look just one black mass like that, I bring the shadows down. If I want to show some details in the skirt or the shorts that she's wearing, or in the jacket itself, I can do that. Now, typically, if you want a clean edit, you're going to want to boost your shadows. When you say, "Oh, the picture's so clean," that means even in the dark areas, you can see all the details and things like that. If you want more of a moody edit, you're probably going to drop those shadows down and have it like that. For this picture though, I don't know, I think I'm going to go with clean. Then I'm going to bump up the exposure just a little bit, and then I'm also going to bump up the contrast just a little bit, just to get those mid-tones nice and strong. Now for clarity, I definitely don't use too much clarity on this. Actually, to be honest, I usually type in the number because it's really no more than 12 usually that I use for clarity, especially during a portrait. I like to, bump up my vibrance and get the subtle colors really going, but then I also turn down the saturation so I get a little bit more of a, not too much color pop, but, just enough to keep the colors going. Now already you can tell, you can hit Y on your keyboard if you don't know, and already you can see that this is looking like a much cleaner edit than the raw original that was on here. And I go to sharpening. I usually use around 100 sharpening. That usually gets the job done. And it might be a little overkill in some people's minds, but with the masking, once again, hold Alt down, you can see exactly what's being sharpened. You hold Alt and you go over here. Now everything that is white is what's being sharpened. So the more of the mask you have left off, obviously the whole photo will be sharpened. But really, I just want Cali sharpened in this and the outlines and the eyes and things like that. So that's good. Noise reduction, things like that, I don't really mess around with unless it's, you know, a darker shot. Sometimes a good trick, if you want to give a little bit of a dreamy or a softer look to the overall image, you can turn noise reduction all the way up, and it will definitely make the picture a lot softer. Definitely hit remove chromatic aberration and enable profile corrections. That'll just make sure that, you know, the lens, any lens distortion or anything isn't gonna mess up your shot. Now, I like to vignette my portraits just to draw the eye to the actual subject. I try not to use too much, but I want it just so that the subject pops from the background, and that looks pretty good right there. And dehaze, sometimes I throw a little dehaze in if I want some details in the sky or something like that, or in buildings. I'll put around 10 right there, 10 or 11, that's not bad. So now that we have the basics of this edit done, now this is when I like to throw the sauce on the pic. You know, I like to, you know, throw a little of the special magic, little tiny edits that really make a portrait edit come to life. We are in skin softening. Go to here, skin softening, soften skin. And I just like to turn on my overlay mask, which is by hitting the letter O. And I just go ahead and paint the face. And I also do any other parts of the skin as well. I don't just do the face. I do the arms, I do the hands. Don't cover the eyes. So where you see the red, everything that's red is where the effect is being put on. This is just a good way to make sure that you have it where you want it to be and it's not leaking out on any other details that you might want it not to be. After you're done, you hit your O, and I like to zoom out just to see what it looks like. And if it looks natural, then I'll keep it. If it looks like it's overdone a little bit, like it's a little too soft, I mean, everybody has wrinkles, everybody has little lines, things like that. You don't want it to look like, you know, their face is completely, you know, too soft. So I turn up the clarity just a little bit on the skin softening just to put some more of the details back into the face. But that's pretty good. Once the skin softening has been applied, I like to focus on the eyes. After that, I go back to my adjustment brush here. I click teeth whitening. Teeth whitening, I just brighten the whites of the eyes with it. Very subtle. Just like that. Once again, I zoom out just to make sure that they're not, you know, doing the X-Men thing and glowing. And if they are, it's very simple. Just turn down the exposure a little bit. That's good. Once you have that done, I also like to use the adjustment brush, and I go to Iris Enhance. And this works really well with, you know, subjects that have, you know, nice light colored eyes like blue or green or anything like that. But it can also work pretty well for darker eye colors as well. You just have to be a little bit more cautious as far as how much exposure you put on it. Because clearly someone with very deep dark brown eyes, they're not going to look around, they're not walking around like their eyes are hazel, but you can lighten them up a little bit if you want to. I like to turn the exposure up a little bit. I like to cool her eyes off a little bit as well, just to give them a little bit more of a blue. Clarity up a little bit, sharpness up a little bit, contrast up a little bit. Zoom out, turn it off so you can get a look at the eyes. And that's all you really need right there. I mean, you don't really need much more than that. Even that's a little, that's good. It's not bad. It's not bad. Pretty much all I do for the retouching. I mean, I don't like to retouch my photos a whole lot because I don't want the person looking artificial, you know? So once the retouching is done, I like to focus on the background of the picture and the actual tone and colors of the picture to really give it a nice feel. I like to experiment with the temperature. This is a cool temperature. Let's see what it looks like if it's warm. I'm not really feeling it, but a little warmth isn't bad. I'm gonna cool it off just a little bit more like that. First, before we even do split toning, I'm gonna go to the colors here, and I'm gonna take out some of this orange. That's our skin color. I'll put it a little bit just like that. Take out some of this yellow. Yeah, see, once you take the yellow out and remove that warmth out of the picture, now it's like it matches completely with her outfit and the black and white contrast. Okay, so that's the green, pump that up a little bit. We see some red in the background, bump that up a little bit. And of course we have the blue, bump that up. I'll leave the aqua out. Purple, magenta. Why not? Leave the magenta all the way up. Okay, so that's pretty good right there. Once I have the colors, I like to then go to the tone curve. Now, the tone curve is pretty intimidating to some, even myself sometimes. I really don't mess with it too much. I just do basic adjustments. I don't try to always get an S curve. I just like to bring it over, see what those darks would look like, a little crushed. Sometimes I bring it up to see what a fade would look like, but really I just bring it over a little bit just to see what a little crush would look like on the darks. Very rare do I try to go up top right here with the highlight levels of whites and things like that. It's all about what you really want to highlight and what you want to be the focus of the picture. It doesn't look bad with the coming down like that, but it doesn't look bad when with the highlights raised up a little bit either, so we'll just keep it just like that. That's nothing crazy. Then I like to go over the red, and I just really do this for every picture. I'd like to see what other colors introduced will look like. So some green in there, okay, I'm not really feeling that. Some red in there, some yellow, nope. But when you have cool pictures like this one, then temperature-wise, cool temp, the blues always, you might like to throw a nice little blue haze over it, and you can do that by lifting up the corner of it just a little bit until you see some blue start to come in. But you know, trying to keep it as clean as possible, so we're gonna leave it just like that. And that's really all I do for the tone curve. I know a bunch of people are all about doing the S curves and doing a whole bunch of things like that, but I mean, whatever works for your picture, just let it work for your picture. Don't worry about getting an S curve for every one of your shots, or you know, going crazy with the tone curve, because honestly, like, sometimes the minor adjustments are the best ones. Now it's split toning. Highlights, see what the yellow looks like. It's not too bad. Basically, I just like to bring it up and drag it across to see what looks good for the most part. And once I find that, I typically then drop the saturation down, so just like a hint of that color is put in. So that would be all the way up. And this is with it just right there. For highlights, and then for shadows, the same thing. I do the opposite color, or I try to not put in the same color space. And then I like to go to Alt and hit balance, and that'll show you like the overall balance of the split tone. So if you want it more reddish, like I picked, or more greenish, that'll help me balance out the shadows and the highlights. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it right here. That's pretty good. I'm actually gonna keep that. I'm gonna go back to my tone curve. Now that I'm looking at it, I feel like it's just a little too dark for what the kind of edit I'm going for. So I'm just gonna bring that one back up just a little bit. If I wanted to, I guess I could throw a radial filter on here and see what that looks like, as far as giving a little bit more separation from the background. Turn that to exposure, then bring that down. Well, it's another way to do a vignette, pretty much. That's it. That is my edit from raw to finish. This is the before over here, and this is the after. Before, after, before, after. I'm pretty happy with the way that came out. It's very simple, didn't do anything crazy. I pretty much just followed the steps that I usually take when I edit my portraits. I hope that this taught you something, or if it didn't teach you anything, just gave you some insight on how you can edit your pictures. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please share it. Tell other people who might want to know how to start editing portraits about it. I'll do some more if you really like this kind of tutorial. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. I'd like to see you guys come back and see some more of the videos that I have in store for you guys. So please hit that subscribe button. And like always, I will see you guys in the next video. So this is Jason Osborne, JO Vision. Thanks for watching. I'm out. Peace.